Hello and welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pierce. This is a Ukraine War Update Extra video, giving you extra tidbits and nuggets to get your teeth into to give you a greater understanding of the war in Ukraine. Where should we go to first? Another Chris O Wiki thread, this time talking about statistics involving disabling injuries. So he says at least 750,000 Russians, equivalent to 65% of the entire Russian army, are expected to have served in the war in Ukraine, according to a leaked official document. At least 16,000 of them are forecast to have sustained disabling injuries. Sort of statistic that goes towards understanding the loss statistics that Russia may have and trying to work out who is being accurate when totting up the liquidated personnel, the injured and unable to return to the war, and this kind of feeds into that statistic. The We Can Explain Telegram channel has published a leaked extract from a presentation by the Defenders of the Fatherland Veterans Support Fund, a state fund headed by Putin's niece Anna Tsivilyeva. The fund is working on programs to support war veterans. The document states the quote, estimated number of special military operation veterans as 750,000, a figure that likely includes regular Russian army personnel, those mobilized since 2022 from Russia, Luhansk and Donetsk, and convicts or mercenaries recruited by the Wagner Group. 72,377 people are stated to have acquired the status of veterans at the Ukraine war as of 1st of February 2023. Of course, 1,536 people, 2.1%, have either been rated as disabled or are in the process of being so rated. The document estimates that 15,750 people will be rated as disabled. It breaks them down into three classes: 2,662 or 16.9% of them in class 1, likely the most severely disabled; 10,111, 62.2% in class 2, and 2,977, 18.9% in class 3. The estimates indicate that more Russians are likely to fight in the Ukraine war than in any conflict since World War II. 620,000 Russians fought in the 10-year Afghan war, and 600,000 fought in the 12 years of the two Chechen wars. The number of people disabled in the fighting is likely to exceed those sustained in previous conflicts, further increasing the long-term burden on Russian society. The figures also show the burden that the war is placing on the Russian military. While many of the 750,000 will be newly mobilized reservists, many others will be professional soldiers who will not so easily be replaced if they are disabled or killed. It's not clear what time period the estimates refer to. Up to around 190,000 Russians at a time are reported to have been fighting in Ukraine since February 2022. Many more will have fought as replacements for men who have rotated out or been injured or killed. The Defenders of the Fatherland Fund was established on the 3rd of April this year after being announced by Putin in February. Tsivilyeva heads it, with Sergei Kirinyenko, first deputy head of presidential administration, serving as the chairman of its supervisory board. The fund plans to recruit and train 11,000 social coordinators to serve veterans of needs via branches across Russia, which will be opened by the 1st of June. Each social coordinator will look after either 40 families of veterans with disabilities, that's 445,000 families, or 100 families of veterans without disabilities, or 1.125 million families. The numbers are fairly staggering here, and you can imagine in an already burdened welfare state that Russia has, given the sanctions in place and the massive proportion that of the budget that will be taken up with funding the war in a very direct sense, how much money will be left to provide these sorts of services, and those numbers are only going to go up. I have seen just so many dead and videos of killed, dead, injured, badly injured, maimed people on both sides. Don't get me wrong. That this will have such a massive effect on both countries for a very long time to come. And the numbers aren't good for Russia. That is for sure. And that's one thing that I'm really certain of, is that the statistics for Russia, while the official general staff figures might be overinflated, there are some serious casualty numbers for the Russian forces. Okay, let's move on. I just want to point out this video. If you haven't watched it, you missed one of my videos previously where I gave this a a bit of kudos. This is an insane video. If you're interested in watching, I mean, it's quite hardcore in parts and a bit inappropriate if you don't like seeing, people getting shot. Obviously, that's pretty horrific. But from a kind of tactical point of view about what it's actually like to be in a battle, in the midst of a battle, and the communication between drones and other people and yourself and you. I'm talking about me as a person in the video with the GoPro on the helmet as a kind of leader talking to your squaddies and whatnot. This is a fascinating insight into warfare. The full version is 11 minutes 20 seconds long. It's been split up variously online, but you can find it. Defamon has a full version on his Twitter feed, so go and check that out. It's a phenomenal piece of footage. And now for something completely different, in the words of Monty Python, yet again. I always use that phrase. I'm sorry, nothing if not predictable. So this is an insight into the super rich. I mean, the super rich here. This is Svetlana Maniovich. She is your guide to the world of extreme Russian glamour. She radiates richness, diamonds, furs, Rolls Royces. She has it all, more and more. In summer, you can find her in Saint-Tropez, where she rents a villa for, only 150,000 euros a month, or a yacht in Naples. Goodness me. She loves shopping. Sadly, Moscow doesn't satisfy her fashion needs, so she has to travel to Paris. Of course she does. She gets personal appointments at one of the most expensive and discreet fine jewelry stores. This is where she gets 150,000 euro earrings and 104,000 euro rings made for her. So that is, obviously it's what I do most weekends, that's for sure. Isn't it all lovely? Well, not quite. Svetlana Maniovich is the wife of the Russian Deputy Minister of Defense, the person responsible for invading Ukraine and killing thousands of innocent people, or at least partly responsible for that. His name is Timur Ivanov, and yes, that's actually them together. Quite a lad. There they are. And by lad, I mean someone who's used to sitting almost on a throne. Anyway, Ivanov is the head of construction for the MOD. So his job is to build everything from army barracks to this seriously weird military church, dearly beloved by Putin. And now he's responsible for rebuilding Mariupol, the city Putin has wiped off the face of the earth and, indeed, occupied. There's that, my goodness, it's something like a film set, that, isn't it? You just wouldn't believe that kind of thing would actually be made. But there you go. And now have a look at this video, please. It's our Svetlana Maniovich, aka Ivanova, partying in Courchevel 3 weeks ago, 13 months into the war. She is in the heart of Europe, wearing her diamonds and furs. Now, how did the wife of a war criminal sneak into France? Well, let me tell you, says Maria Pevchik. And that could be like Pevchik. Sorry, I'm trying to get my pronunciation of Russian and Ukrainian better. I am but a mere student. Anyway, there wasn't much sneaking involved in her trip to Courchevel, that is. As insane as it sounds, she is totally allowed to come to the EU and walk up and down the Champs-Élysées, spending the money her husband made by bombing apartment blocks, killing children and beheading soldiers in Ukraine. Of course, there's rhetoric here. Her husband didn't do that himself, but he is at least somewhat responsible for that happening. She doesn't have any other money. She is a woman of leisure and requires sponsorship. Her ex-husband, who she left for Ivanov, warned him that he wouldn't be able to afford her. Quote, Svetlana demands at least $50,000 a month. How do I know this? The divorce was covered by Tatler. Fun. But despite being a government official, Ivanov managed to scrape together a few pennies to make his wife happy. Svetlana can have all the budget she wants for the things she loves, like this Dolce & Gabbana dress for 59,500 euros, or this set of 19th century furniture for 85,000 euros. They have enough cash to even buy a holiday Rolls Royce. They have one in Moscow, but since they spend so much time in the French Riviera, they bought another one there too. It's a retro Rolls Royce Corniche. It just sits in a garage and waits for them all year round. Where does the money come from? Corruption. Ivanov receives kickbacks from whoever he assigns MOD construction contracts to. Some of you may have seen these pictures from Mariupol. These are the few display houses built for propaganda purposes. Putin visited them too. And actually, man, Ivanov. In fact, there's some video footage of these of people moving into some of these apartments, and they might look nice from the outside, but actually they've got some pretty fundamental problems with them, with leaks and all sorts of bits and pieces. Anyway, that's just my aside there. So in our recent investigation, we found that the construction company that built this compound in Mariupol pays bribes to Timur Ivanov. They are actually also building his own dacha. Don't know where that's gone. So his own dacha. Does your Deputy Minister of Defence have a house like this? Why not? I mean, seriously, I expect that to be on the government, payroll, that kind of the building, the construction of that. And indeed, I expect, Ben Wallace, the UK Conservative Party, to be living in a place like that on government wages. Absolutely. Anyways, you would think that the war has prevented this family of crooks and war criminals from spending their time in Europe, but it hasn't. On March 17th, 2022, the day Putin's army ravaged Mariupol, Svetlana went by invitation to Joel Arthur Rosenthal's jewelry store in Paris to pick up some diamonds. On March 23rd, the day Kiev got shelled at night, Svetlana took a Eurostar trip to visit her son in London. Her life in Europe wasn't hindered by the war her husband helped to start. It says her husband started. I'm not sure it was him on his own. This was made possible by two simple tricks. One, Svetlana illegally obtained an Israeli passport. There is a court ruling. And two, she has preemptively divorced Ivanov in August 2022, 5 months into the war. So I understand that as her getting an Israeli passport that she's not particularly entitled to, divorcing her husband, not necessarily because she doesn't want to be with him, but it's a way of her being able to travel around because now she's Israeli, not married to a Russian, and can avoid these constraints and sanctions. So the sanctions don't affect her. She can keep her bank accounts, her assets, and her shopping holidays, despite the fact that every euro she spends at Hermes and Cartier in Paris is a blood-soaked euro. She can even keep the Parisian apartment she rents for her family. See, no false identities, no sneaking through the border. The family of a war criminal is living in Paris as if nothing happened. Have I broken some major news with this thread? No. Our investigation has been out for 2 months. We have filed numerous complaints and reports. So this appears to be the Anti-Corruption Foundation that she is representing here. Now, and we've never heard back from the French authorities, nothing from the EU either. Are they all okay with it? Because I'm really not. So why don't we all work together to fix this? If you live in France, please write to your MPs, to your local media, and share this thread. We at the Anti-Corruption Foundation are willing to resubmit piles of documents and proofs. I am willing to speak, meet, or testify in court, whatever is needed to get the legal process going. We also ask all of our supporters in Paris to come and protest near Maniovich's property, demanding to sanction their family, freeze their assets, and kick them out of Europe. this Sunday, the 23rd of April, 2 o'clock, 51 Rue de Babylone, Paris. We already did it once in London with Lavrov's stepdaughter, who was sanctioned by the UK after a similar threat of mine, and thanks to your vast support, we can do it again. This is about justice that we all need right now. Brilliant stuff. So if you are French and live near there, it'd be obviously a pretty sound thing to do. You can find much more detailed version of this story in our video. It has got English, French, and German subtitles. Over the past 12 years, we've published hundreds of stories like this one, and we're going to publish more. If you like our work, please donate to our cause. Your money will be spent towards putting an end to Putin's crimes. It's a good investment. So that is the Anti-Corruption Foundation, and their video might be worth looking at to get a greater understanding of certainly her situation. That is Svetlana's there. Just fascinating, isn't it? How much money in this kleptocracy, in this oligarchy that is modern Russia. It's obscene. That corruption is endemic right throughout pretty much, I assume, every system in Russia, if their military is anything to go by. Okay, we're going to move on to looking at some air defense systems now. And I'm going to start this off with a comment by someone on one of my threads. So this is in the context of many of the allies of Ukraine providing a whole heap of different surface-to-air missile systems. We have had IRIS-T, which is this system using AIM 2000 missiles, or IRIS-T is the name, the medium-range missile, but it's also called that. We have the Patriot missile system. We have the SAMT-T missile system. And we have the NASAMS as well. And all four of these do slightly different things and have certain advantages over the others in certain different contexts. The Patriot system is actually a pretty old system in its initial inception, but it has the PAC-3 variant is sort of one of the best in the world, certainly for taking out certain types of munition like the like ballistic missiles such as the Kinjal, the S-300s that have been sent. If we look here, on December the 21st, 2022, it's reported that the US would send a Patriot battery to Ukraine as part of the military aid. On the 5th of January 2023, it's reported that Germany would send a Patriot battery to Ukraine as part of their own military package. And on the 17th of January 23, the Netherlands announced it would send one launcher, and on the 20th of January, they announced it would send a second launcher. But the Dutch government announced it would send launchers and missiles, but not the complete systems. A battery would include radars, etc. So there are four systems, not necessarily four batteries, but anyway, you get the point. There are four launchers that can send these missiles, it seems, and there might not be full complete sets because I guess certain launchers can use the radar systems of other radar systems to tap into that information. I would guess. But then we have the IRIS-T. Now, what the difference between these? Well, I could go through those Wikipedia pages, but Stefan Lin sort of sums it up pretty well here. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for your daily Ukraine updates. Here is a comparison of the air defense systems. The IRIS-T SLM, so that's the sort of medium range. The SLM, the M bit means medium range. And the MIM 104 Patriot are both air defense systems designed for different purposes and requirements. Here are some comparison points that can help you better understand their capabilities. 1. Application. The IRIS-T SLM was designed to combat short-range threats, such as missiles, aircraft, and helicopters. It is a mobile system mainly for the protection of ground forces and critical infrastructure. In contrast, the MIM 104 Patriot is a long-range air defense system capable of fighting threats at a distance of up to 160 kilometers. It is designed to combat aerial threats at medium and high altitudes. So I'm just going to say the SLM part is, so the SLS is a short range system. The SLM is a medium range system. The SLM battery as supplied by Germany to Ukraine consists of 3 truck mounted launchers carrying 8 missiles each with a range of 40 kilometers or 25 miles. So short would be sort of 5 to 10 sort of kilometer range. And a separate command vehicle that can be positioned up to 20 kilometers away. The command vehicle integrates multiple radar sources and is able to launch and track all 24 missiles simultaneously. The IRIS-T SLM can counter surface-to-air missiles and cruise missiles, including low-flying stealthy missiles such as Caliber. So those are cruise missiles, not ballistic missiles, it mentions there. Anyway, back to what Stefan says here. So I was just saying that actually it's the medium range version, although he does say, it's effective up to 40 kilometers. So the weapon system, the RST SLM uses the RST missile, which has an effective range of up to 40 kilometers. The missile is equipped with a passive infrared seeker and can intercept threats with high speed and accuracy. The MIM 104 Patriot, on the other hand, uses PAC-2 and PAC-3 air defense missiles, designed specifically to combat ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. Mobility, I would say that the IRIS-T, but I could be wrong here, can do cruise missiles. It would just struggle, I think, with ballistic missiles. And mobility, the RST SLM is a mobile system that can be mounted on a truck or trailer chassis. It can be quickly deployed and can adapt to the requirements of the deployment site. The MIM 104 Patriot, on the other hand, is a stationary system that is usually mounted on a platform or tower. It is not as mobile as the RST SLM and requires a larger infrastructure to support it. 4. Radar. The RST SLM has a 3D radar with a range of up to 100 kilometers, and the radar can track and identify multiple targets simultaneously. The MIM 104 Patriot, on the other hand, uses a complex radar system that can detect and track targets at a distance of up to 160 kilometers. In summary, the RST SLM and MIM 104 Patriot were designed for different requirements and applications. The RST SLM is a mobile system designed for the protection of ground forces and critical infrastructure, known for its mobility and flexibility. The MIM 104 Patriot, on the other hand, is a stationary system designed to combat long-range threats such as ballistic missiles and cruise missiles, known for its long-range capabilities and complex radar and weapon systems. My guess is they'll probably put the Patriot into positions closer to Kiev, maybe, rather than have it mobile and moving around to be able to take out maybe missiles that are being shot from over the border, so on and so forth. But there are 4 of these systems, or at least 4 of the launchers. I would be absolutely fascinated to know where they are going to place, well, pretty much all of these things. The Patriots, as you can see here, I mean, there's a lot in this Wikipedia page on the Patriot system. That's one of the images we often see around. As you can see, pretty large bit of kit there. It's a massive mobile phone on the back of a truck or something. No, obviously not. They will have different advantages, different applications because of the different design criteria, right? But anyway, that's a really useful comment by Stefan Lin. I really appreciate the expertise of the people that come onto the channel. It's absolutely fantastic. Right, just moving on to another comment before I finish up. Actually, a shorter one today, possibly. I don't know how long have I talked. Oh, look, too long. So this is from Chenk Chenk or Sank Sank or Kenk Kenk. I presume it's Chenk Chenk, but I could be wrong. I don't know how true this is, but it seems intuitively plausible, and I find it really interesting. So I read a military analysis paper a few years ago written by an American officer during training Jordan's military on the Abrams tank. He described the way American and other Western militaries work as like a beehive, where soldiers in the field return with information to share with the whole hive. By contrast, so it's like altruism, sort of. So you were doing all this work and you're coming back and you're given that work, and your efforts are to aid the flourishing of the whole, right, of the hive. There's a kind of collectivism there. By contrast, he described the Middle Eastern militaries as these closed warlord or clan-like systems where no one shares anything or cooperates because they see it as a threat to their power. Even in a tank, the tank commanders would not share the user manuals with the crew because then what would they need me for? Type attitude. On bigger scales, generals in charge of divisions or armies would not cooperate or provide support to other units because it was viewed as undermining their power unless cooperation provided some immediate enhancements to their power, e.g. they got new planes, tanks, political favors. All other units and their leaders were viewed as competition and often more of an enemy than the enemy. I think the same thing is going on with the Russian military. All the signs are there. I find that a fascinating insight, really interesting, and I think it possibly is applicable to the Russians here to at least some degree. But it's also just an interesting insight into how different militaries might work, and the idea that you are always, I guess, suspicious of those around you, that feeds into a lack of cooperation, because if you are giving information to others, you are empowering them, and you then have nothing else to give. They don't there's no need for you. You don't hold that information, and therefore hold power. Knowledge is power, and these are all kind of, everyone's competing for power. If you have a very clearly defined power structure, as you would hope there would to be in modern NATO militaries, then that kind of, and you get a culture that's embedded into those militaries, then you get this beehive-like structure that means that the whole system operates much more effectively and efficiently. At least that's how I would interpret that. Anyway, that's really great. Thank you to all the commenters who provide such brilliant comments all the time. Some of you on a substantial basis daily. Really great. Anyway, that's today's somewhat shorter Ukraine War Extra video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for all the support you give to the channel. It really is incredibly appreciated. Anyway, toodle pips, and I will catch up with you in my next video.